not get busted already? Well, our panel will give you their Sweet 16 picks and everything else you need to know for the rest of the tournament. All this and much more coming up on College Crossfire.
Where the hell's the rest of it?
Where's the rest of it?
Taylor's not even here to defend himself.
I'm so excited. Welcome into this live hour-long edition of College Crossfire. I'm your host, Jeff Barker. Let's get right into it tonight by introducing our first panel. To my right, we have the reigning champion, Jet Beecham. He says he's going to tank because he's a little bit hungry right now. I don't know if I believe you, though. I feel like you're just sandbagging.
Yeah, sandbagging for sure.
Alrighty. And then we have Brooks Cabina. Brooks, it's been a while, but thanks for coming back.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Alrighty. And Julian, I'm really digging that shirt, man. If you guys can't see it right there on the camera, it's actually it's like the skyline of Los Angeles.
Yes, it is.
Make you homesick.
Starting off, I would start you off with points, but that's not really fair.
It's understandable.
Let's get right into it with some Texas basketball, guys. After being seeded 7th in the Midwest region by the NCAA Tournament Selections Committee, the Texas Longhorns proceeded to knock off the 10-seed Arizona State Sun Devils in a thriller that was capped off by a Cam Ridley buzzer beater. Next up for the Longhorns was the number 2 seed Michigan Wolverines. This game got ugly early with the Longhorns trailing by as much as 18 in the first half. They rolled them out a pretty serious comeback in the second half, but ultimately it wasn't enough, and Texas went on to lose 79-65. Regardless of what anyone expected Texas to do in the NCAA tournament, this was a successful turnaround season record-wise for the Horns, who finished 24-11 following a 16-18 finish in 2013. What grade would you guys give the Longhorns for this season, and why? Jet?
Let's see. I'm gonna start them off. With an A-. I think definitely at least an A- is deserved because they had a great turnaround season. Even Rick Barnes, Big 12 Coach of the Year, he did his thing, and the team did their thing. The reason I gave them a minus added to the A is because they did drop some games. They did play well, but they would drop games, get blown out. It just so happened that things didn't work out quite well, and they didn't play good on the road per se. So the thing is, they still played a great season. They got that win against Arizona State, which, a lot of people had Arizona State coming out with that win. But they did almost prove themselves against Michigan, as you mentioned, the comeback. But I think an A- is deserved, and I think they had a great season. I think next year's going to be even better.
Yeah, I think that game against Michigan showed that they definitely have the talent, but they're not quite there, probably experience-wise, and just putting it all together as a team. Brooks, what do you think?
I think they had an A- season as well. I want to give them a B just because I think expectations change. They fluctuate throughout the entire season. At the beginning of the year, they don't think that they're going to have a chance to make the tournament. But as soon as they beat Kansas in Austin, expectations changed dramatically. This is a team that was really thought to be able to win the Big 12, and they tanked in that second half of the Big 12. And as soon as they got into the NCAA tournament, they really should have won that game by a lot more than they did. They were up by 14 in the second half, and they blew it down into the lead. And then they got lucky with 2 air balls that were put back in at the end. That's the only reason they moved on to the second round. So they had a chance to beat Michigan. Michigan had 14 threes. They need to work on covering those three-point shots. So there's a lot of things they need to fix. But I think, from what they've been able to do, they did show that they were going to recover from tanking at the end. They did get that win. They did get the win whenever they made mistakes, and that's a show of a growing team. That's why I give them an A-.
Definitely. You think those are things that, not winning on the road, things that they can fix next year with more experience?
Absolutely. This is a team that has freshmen like Isaiah Taylor. Your oldest player is a junior, Jonathan Holmes. These are guys that whenever they make those mistakes, they're learning them mid-season. That's good expectation for them in the offseason to be able to do that next year whenever they're older.
Definitely. Julian?
They give them A-. I give them a B+. And for the exact reasons why they give them A-, I give them a B+. As we all talk, like you and I talked about at the beginning of the season, I said this team has a bigger phase. They look like they have something to prove from what happened with all the debacle they had last season. So with that being said, they did turn it around. They did phenomenally around the ball. They did 10-2 in the season, which is phenomenal. But as everybody said, they tanked at the end of the season going towards away games. And with that being said, I think that's the reason why I give them a B+. It's like they got these high expectations. They beat top 25 opponents early in the season. They did dominate throughout their opponents through the first half of the season, but as soon as it came to the second half, they just stopped. They fell apart. And like Brooks said, in the NCAA tournament, first round against Arizona State, what was going on? It seemed like you had the lead going 14 points, and all of a sudden you drop 2 and you're losing, and now you got to play catch up. And so that was the only thing was for me is they have improved, but it's just not that big improvement for me to give them an A.
Yeah, I mean, I think they definitely showed their youth towards the end of the season when, when there was maybe six to 8 games left, we started talking about seeding with the NCAA tournament. We knew they were going to make it after not being sure at the beginning of the season if they were going to make it. And then it was like, they could be a 3 seed if they finished out well.
Right.
And then by the time they were playing, they had the weekend with TCU and Texas Tech going into the Big 12 tournament. It was like, well, now they're 7, 8, 9 range. So I agree with you guys. I'm going to start everyone off with a point. I think those are things that they can fix. I mean, I like the point that you came with, though. Expectations do change, especially at Texas. Week to week, you beat a team like Kansas. I mean, then you're expected to, Sweet 16 and beyond. But moving on to some of the college basketball teams still alive in this year's tournament. For this next question, we're going to be breaking down the Sweet 16 matchups in the South region and the East region. Starting in the South, we have, as most people predicted, the #1 overall seed, Florida, taking on 4 seed UCLA, followed by the most unlikely matchup of the tournament between 10 seed Stanford and 11 seed Dayton. Then in the East region, we got 1 seed Virginia taking on 4 seed Michigan State, followed by 3 seed Iowa State and 7 seed UConn. Which of these matchups is most intriguing to you guys, and who do you have moving on? Cameron?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and the team that's most intriguing to me is obviously Dayton, but the team that I picked to win the national championship was Iowa State. I have Iowa State going through. They have the loss to Yang, but they played excellent without him against North Carolina.
So you still have them?
I still have them going through. I think they're the best team on that side. They showed that way. But Dayton's the exciting pick right now. I just don't think they're going to make it the rest of the way.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think they can knock off Stanford?
No, I think they have a chance to go against Stanford. Stanford's really been surprising as well, but I think Stanford's wins have been really impressive. I think that game could. Well, the thing about Dayton is the last 2 games that they've won, they've waited on. They've been in the lead in the second part, so it's kind of different from the other Cinderella teams. So can they get lucky on that last shot? Because Ohio State can't make that last shot, and in the next round they can't make that shot. Well, how many times are you going to be able to defend that?
Yeah, in round of 64 and round of 32, you're 1 day rest in between, so you can keep that momentum going, especially if you're a lower seeded team like Dayton. Now, they got to take on Stanford, who's had the same momentum as well. But it'll be interesting because both teams got to take more than 1 day off. You're gonna get 4 or 5 days off for that. Julian,
I have to say I agree with Brooks and all the inspiration, but the matchup I really am looking forward to is Virginia and Michigan State. Now, everybody doesn't believe me, but I'm going to call it like I called last week. This is going to be the matchup to determine who's going to be in the Final Four. Because I think that both of these teams are very great matchups. They're one of the best teams in the South region. But the problem is going to come in. Michigan State has been struggling these past games. Round of 64, round of 32, they struggled a little bit. Then they started coming off for the rebound for the last 5 minutes of the game. As you see, Virginia, they just dominate throughout the whole game. And just to see Michigan State, who I have picking and winning the national championship, to see.
So you jumped on the bandwagon with
I've been jumped on the bandwagon with Michigan State. It's just, I don't think that they're going to, I think if they don't know how to play well, this is going to be a very difficult game, and I believe that this will come to the last second shot.
I mean, this man does have a pretty stellar bracket, though. What are you, in 99 percentile?
98 percentile, right.
Yeah.
I'm in the 30 percentile.
I think I'm in 98 right behind you.
You're right behind.
Jed.
I mean, with me, I looking at my bracket, and I was like, I have to answer this truthfully. It's Stanford and Dayton. The thing is, either way, in the Elite Eight, there's going to be either this game a 10 or an 11 seed, which, you kind of get those Cinderella teams off and on. But it's, either way, it's 2 of these teams facing each other, and you're going to see one of them in there. I think personally Dayton's going to beat Stanford. But the thing is, I have Michigan State winning. I have, all those other teams, Arizona winning. It's just for me to see either a 10 or 11 seed gonna at least end up against a powerhouse in the Elite Eight, and maybe with a chance to make it to the Final Four, kind of like a VCU or even those Butlers in the past. That right there, to me, that's why that's surprising. Because it wasn't even feasible for me that either one of those teams would even have a chance to make it to the Elite Eight, and now they are. And that's why I had one of them.
So are you jumping on the Michigan State bandwagon and the other side, though?
Yeah, I have actually Michigan State.
Okay, so we got Michigan State, Iowa State.
Right.
Who do you guys? Does anybody not have Florida going on to the Final Four?
I had Michigan State in my bracket, and I tried to change it to Florida last minute.
See,
and I think Florida's going to win that.
I think
I mean, just on that side, like getting past UCLA and then getting past Stanford or Dayton.
Yeah, they will.
I have to disagree with you on that. I think Florida, what you look at what they've done in the first round against Albany, they were struggling at that end. They woke up against Pittsburgh, but Pittsburgh had a terrible game with over 20 turnovers. I think Florida is one of the weaker one seeds in this bracket, but a team that you talked about with Michigan State, I think Michigan State's going to have a lot of trouble with Virginia. Virginia is very interesting. They remind me a lot of the San Antonio Spurs. They're very quietly one of the best teams in the nation.
Because
they're
all productive.
Not a single player over 13 points per game. Sounds a lot like Tony Parker and the rest of the way. I think they are going to knock off Michigan State and send a lot of people home crying.
Anything that wraps up?
I have to say, I wouldn't say that they're the weakest number one seed. My weakest number one seed for me was Wichita State, who I had picked, called that game. I actually did call that game. But my thing is,
one shot, and you could be looking at a lot of things differently.
Yeah,
true. But my thing is, it's just I believe that if Michigan, whoever wins that game against Michigan and Virginia, you could see potential national championship, and that's where I think it's coming.
I think either, because I have Florida over UCLA. I think it's going to either come down to, I have Florida in the Final Four right now, so it's either going to be Florida and as you said, Michigan State or Virginia. Out of those three teams, that's going to be the champion. It's saying a lot, but still.
That's
I think I'm going to give Brooks a point on this one. I think Florida could get knocked off by UCLA, and I had Iowa State going to the Final Four, not the national championship. I'm going to give you the point on this one. And guys, as he tends to do from time to time, Dallas Mavericks owner Mark Cuban made some interesting comments that put him in the news again. But this time it wasn't Mavericks or even basketball related. Cuban said that he believes the NFL, the National Football League, is 10 years away from an implosion. He then went on to add, quote, "When pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered, and they're getting hoggy. When you try to take it too far, people turn the other way. I'm just telling you, when you got a good thing and you get greedy, it always turns against you." And we all know Cuban's a smart, savvy businessman. Do you guys think he may be onto something here, or is he completely off? I mean, is the NFL getting a little hoggy?
I agree with him 1,000%.
Really?
I agree with him with 1,000%. My problem comes in is, like, I watched Shark Tank when she was in for a couple of seasons, and listening to him, how he becomes a particular businessman, just shows me how much he knows about business. And my personal opinion, I've been saying this for years, and people can get on my bandwagon with it as well. NFL is becoming a more business-oriented commission, and I hate that about the NFL. The NFL was a passion of mine. Football was my passion, and as we talked about earlier, Jed and I were talking, they proposed these new rules, and it turned them from, oh, this is a football game, this is entertainment, to a business. Why would you get rid of celebrations? Why would we penalize celebrations? And now we're talking about doing more and more intriguing things to the NFL now to make it more interesting. I think that it's becoming more business. By 10 years, I see it imploding on itself.
Brooks is itching to say something. Jet, we got to go in order here. We're going to Jet.
I mean, I love Mark Cuban. What I love about him is he's a fan first, a businessman second, and an owner third. That's how I look at Mark Cuban. And I think that he does have a point. The NFL, and as Julian said, it's becoming more business oriented. They're coming out with the whole you can't dunk on a goalpost now. Like why are you taking the fun out of the game? People love the celebrations. People love having fun. And the NFL's it's more about even with fines, with money. I mean, I'm all for player safety, but it's, a lot of things, they're just trying to garner more money, I believe, for owners. And, it does protect the players in the end, but the thing is, it's ruining the NFL. And Mark Cuban, even as coming from the NBA, he has a point. He's an owner. He knows these things. And I think as the way the NFL is going, even with moving things to London and moving other things like that, they're going after the money, and it's not fun anymore.
Okay. Brooks?
I mean, I watched Shark Tank myself too, but there's a lot of difference between the NFL and a bunch of ladies that want to sell cupcakes. All right, the NFL is a money-making system that's working right now. And if Mark Cuban's saying, "Hey, I think they're going to implode themselves just because they want to work with TV deals on Thursday nights. Who knows what other nights they're going?" I think he's being very hypocritical. Look at the way the NBA's working. Wednesday night NBA basketball, Tuesday night NBA basketball. It's something that's popular every day.
But it's
I was just about to say.
I mean, and with the things that's going along with it, I mean, they are going after teams in England, teams playing in Japan. These things that are going after each other. But look, this is how things work. You get things that work with the money. In 10 years, Cuban wants it to die down because with the Mavericks and the NBA, they get to be able to be the top sport. I don't think, whenever you talk about business in the NFL, it's not just because they're getting money. It's always been business. From the day one that NFL started, the reason why it's still continuing is because they've been able to make money. And they're going to keep doing it that way. I don't think it's going to implode. I think it'll get even bigger.
All right. I mean, I can see your point, Brooks, but I think we're going to have to go to break now. We're running out of time for this round. I'm going to give Julian and Jet the point here.
All right.
We're going to take a tie.
Check out in 10 years.
Going
man.
in. All right, yeah. We'll
see you in 10
bring you
years.
back. Welcome back for the reunion. Coming up next, it's our first rapid fire for the night. Stay with us. It's College Crossfire.
Man, do you know how bad my grades would tank?
Welcome back to College Crossfire. We are all tied up right now. We're going to start this rapid fire off tonight with a classic caption this. Take a look at this picture of the Arizona State bench after Cam Ridley's buzzer beater in last week's game. 2 points for the best caption. Anybody got one?
Cowboys' reaction after every Week 17 game.
Okay, all right. Is that you?
Every Cowboy fan at the end of Week 17, yes.
All right.
That right there is what they call March sadness.
Cliche. I like it.
March
I like it.
sadness.
I tweeted this, so I'm taking this a little bit off Twitter. It's when your girl says, "We need to talk."
Yeah. all those are pretty good. I think I'm gonna go with the Cowboys one just because I can be kind of sympathetic there. So Julian's gonna get the 2 points. Hey, that did blow up on Twitter though. You were famous for a little while, man.
A little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. All right, guys. Well, last night in a 5-1 victory over Texas State, Texas baseball coach Augie Garrido became the all-time winningest college baseball coach at any level. So where does Texas baseball coach Garrido rank with the all-time great college coaches in any sport? And I guess the bigger topic here, how much can you really compare, a baseball coach like Augie to somebody like Coach K in college basketball, or even, Saban, Bear Bryant, like the greats in football?
I think what's hard to judge between that and Coach K is that Augie's dealing with a different lineup every game. I mean, you get a new pitcher on the mound every day, so it's harder to have that consistency. I mean, look at last year. Parker French was really the only great pitcher they had, so they couldn't win those series whenever they had pitchers in the second games and third games that really weren't there yet. So I think with the wins that he's had, it's really been consistent for him. I think that ranks him really high up in Texas. I wouldn't put him over Royal, and I wouldn't put him over. I think he's the second. I think he's the second greatest coach in Texas history. You know what? But that would put him over. I put him at third. I put him over at third just because. I think that's where he's ranked.
Okay, all right.
I was just about to say, I would not put him second. I put him third, and basically the same thing with Brooks. You have second, of course, Mac. I have Mac right there. Come on now. Now,
Daddy.
Mac?
come on. Now, what I was gonna say is just like what Brooks said. He basically took exactly what I was thinking. You have a very random, different starting pitching going off with baseball, and then not only that, your lineup is always different throughout the series depending on whoever you're playing. So with that being said, instead of like baseball and basketball and football where you have a consistent lineup where you already know who's going in to compare to baseball where it can change on a dime, I think that's very good. I think that's why Augie is going to be one of the best coaches.
Okay.
Well, with me, it's like, in baseball, you play almost more games than any other really collegiate sport. And even when it comes down to things like the College World Series, you're playing multiple games where it's not like football where it's like, oh, you played this bowl game and you win, or it's like basketball where it's, turns into a tournament, one and done. You have to show up multiple times and you have to win multiple games to win these series, to win the championship. And he's coached, I think it was around like 45 seasons, and he's won 4 or 5, I believe, championships. So the thing is like, he's a great player, but he's racked up a lot of seasons because he can. I think as a baseball coach, you can say longer than football. So I think he's still a really great coach, but with a little baseball, the things he's done, he's still one of the greatest coaches ever.
I can't agree with Mac Brown at second, because Mac Brown, through all the 10-win seasons he had, he could never beat Oklahoma. He could never win the Big 12 championship except for a couple of times, and then only won one national championship. When you look at what he's done, The only reason that I'm putting at Augie at third is because Cliff Gustafson gets second, in my opinion. Another baseball coach that has more national championships in baseball, and started off why Texas is the second leading wins team in NCAA history. Garrido's added to that. He's had a lot of national championships, a lot more than Brown. He's my third pick.
All right, well, I'm going to give Brooks Cabina the walking history book right here, the 2 points. So moving on, guys, regardless of how you feel about tattoos, I think most of us can agree that Jets coach Rex Ryan's arm tattoo of his wife wearing quarterback Mark Sanchez's jersey was a terrible idea. Now it only got worse when Sanchez was booted out of New York and recently signed a deal with the Philadelphia Eagles. So take a look at the tattoo right here if you haven't seen it already. Any ideas for what Rex should do with the new tat now that Sanchez has left to play in Philly?
That's the first time I've ever seen
Really?
that.
Was that the first time everybody's seen it?
That's the
my
first
gosh.
time. Why?
I mean,
Yeah, that's what we're all asking.
maybe he should do, kind of like a Jason Terry approach where, when he was with the Mavs, he got a championship trophy somewhere. I forgot where it was on his body. But, obviously he needs to get that thing covered up. It's possible. I'm saying just get, a little Jets NFL championship trophy right over it.
Yeah, and it's
Might as
pretty
well.
it's pretty detailed too. But they were talking about like maybe I don't know. Before I say my idea, I'll let you guys finish.
This is what you do. You take your next player, whether it's Vic, because Vic can't wear 7 because Geno Smith is. You say, hey man, you need to help me out. You need to wear number 16. And you put a 1 right in front of that, and you fix it.
Okay.
On that way.
All right. So you're gonna say make Vic
You
wear
got to make
16?
it go, and then after that, if you can't work with that, then you just got to get it removed. There's scientists, right? You can do that.
You can get tattoo
Carve
removed.
it off.
All righty, Julian.
What I was thinking was just make somebody else wear number 6. Like, let's just be like, bro, look, I have this tattoo on my arm. Be the best bro ever and just wear this
He
jersey.
could make it. He could make it
wear
a
this
Jets
jersey.
tradition to wear, like the best player on the team wears that.
Wears 6, right?
Because they do that in college a lot. And of course, it kind of
That's true. That's true. But then you have those number rules where like a running back can't wear a single-digit number and stuff like that. So
a little ridiculous. But
So then you have the first lady of the Jets running the team on that. So you got to run the
Pretty much,
best
man.
player. Okay.
well, then what does he do? Does he change the colors when he's probably getting fired.
imagine if he gets fired.
There's a lot of things that need to be factored into this
If he gets
decision.
fired,
If he gets
just
fired,
go
just-
over with one color,
yeah.
make it look like a shirt.
Yeah.
Just a T-shirt. Oh man, you got it.
Wait. All right. So this is on his wife, right?
No, it's on him.
It's on him. It's his wife.
It's obviously a tattoo on his arm of his wife wearing Mark Sanchez's number 6 Jets jersey.
Okay. Well then, yeah.
must have been drunk.
So then you say add the 1. Julian, you came with the tell the best player, to
No,
wear 6.
I said
but-
no. Tell like whoever your quarterback is to wear 6.
Yeah, but,
You make a 6. You can take the 6 and continue it into
To
a
an
cursive
8?
2, and you put a 1 on it, and now you got Joe Namath. So you can work on that.
Alrighty, well,
First of Joe Namath.
I'm going to give the 2 points to the walking history book
All right.
once again for coming up with the Joe Namath this time. But Julian, you did come with a pretty similar one to him. I do like to put in the 1. I like both those, but Brooks came with it first, so he's going to get the 2 points. Next on College Crossfire, we'll welcome in a new panel to see who will take on Brooks Cabina in tonight's final round. Keep it here. We are back here on College Crossfire, and I'm joined by our second panel for the night. To my right, we have Zach Head. Zach, how are you?
Doing good.
All right, and we have veteran making your second appearance now, Karthik?
Second or third,
All
something
right,
like that, yeah.
Karthik Raja. Am I saying that last name right?
You got me.
And then another tricky last name, we have newcomer, actually from out of state here. She goes to Cal. She's the younger sister of our producer, Bailey Zarbavar. It's Asia Zarbavar. Asia, what's up?
Not a lot. Excited to be here.
All righty, we are glad to have you. So guys, we recapped the Texas basketball season already with the first panel, and most of the panel gave them a grade of anywhere between the A-, B+ range. For this question, let's focus on head coach Rick Barnes, though. Before the season started, there was a lot of talk about Barnes' job security, not only because of the under 500 2013 season, but also because of the arrival of new AD Steve Patterson. After a turnaround season, Patterson has already solidified that Barnes will be brought back for next season. But overall, where do you think his job security stands right now, and what's his future with the team? I mean, could another kind of poor year next year all of a sudden put him on the hot seat or get him fired?
Definitely a poor year could come out, and that could really get him fired. I think it's kind of a sticky situation right now. Barnes came out, and There's a lot of talk about not wanting him on the team anymore, not wanting him to be the coach. But overall, if you look at his track record, he's been to a Final Four. He's had a pretty solid record, but overall, the eye test fails. You watch UT play, and you see the adjustments aren't there. You look at the recruiting, and the last few years, Julius Randle came out of Texas. If you look at the 2014 recruiting class, there's 3 top 10 players from Texas, and one hasn't committed yet, but the other 2, they're out. One went to SMU over UT, and that just simply can't happen when you're at the biggest school in such a big state like Texas. So overall, I think he definitely has a year ahead of him just because of the success he had, but he's still not off the hot seat.
So you think he needs to recruit more? I mean, I think he's got a little bit of time to kind of ride this team. I mean, next year they're still only going to have one guy that's going to be set to leave after the season. So
I'm just saying the eye test fails.
Okay.
UT, they can't shoot.
Fair enough. Failing your eye test, Karthik?
I mean, his job security is a lot higher than it should be. Steve Patterson's not pulling the trigger on Rick Barnes. Like, unless Rick Barnes has back-to-back 500 seasons, he'll probably be here for another 4 mediocre seasons, and then finally Patterson will man up, pull the trigger, and hit him on the road. Like, I'll just say it. I'm not going to give Rick Barnes kudos for winning with a not very talented team. You recruited this team. Nobody wanted to come here. Like you said, Julius Randle went to Kentucky, but so did the Harrison twins. Julius Randle and both the Harrison twins are the only high school players who are allowed to train with LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony when they share the same trainer. I mean, Rick Barnes, he's secure from Steve Patterson's point of view, but I would kick him, hit the road.
No credit at all. Isn't that the sign of a good coach when you have mediocre talent and you get an above-average result?
He had Kevin Durant and DJ Augustine. They didn't get to the Sweet 16.
Here's my
True,
thing.
but he had TJ Ford and went to Final Four.
I did
That
not.
was a while ago.
I did not learn anything new this season. I pulled this stat up once before. Since we went to Elite 8, year after that, we closed out the last 10 games of the season 6-4. Every year since then, we have gone 5-5 to close out. What did we go this year, counting the conference tournament, which we actually played all right in? 6-6. We love you, Rick.
All right. Well, these are 2 pretty negative reviews here. But
Yeah.
all right, Asia, what do you think?
I think that Rick Barnes did a great job turning it around after last season. He did a bad job. He had a very young team, and I think he did a solid job. But it is Rick Barnes, and it is Texas, and there's so many resources in Texas for recruiting. And he needs to do a really good job. And you don't go from the hot seat to the king's throne and in one season. You have to prove yourself. You have to have consistency. And the on-job Texas is very important. Texas fans want a great basketball team. They want all good sports teams. And for someone like Rick Barnes, he needs to make sure that he brings consistency, does a great job recruiting this year, and brings a great supporting cast to Texas.
Alrighty, all good points there. Karthik, I thought you were a little bit harsh, but I'm going to go ahead and give everyone a point here.
That's a surprise.
So you're saying, so where's, like, if we got a 0% to 100% meter, where's his job security at right now? I mean, you're
Like
you're below.
If I'm Steve Patterson, his job security is at like 75, 80. If I'm the AD,
Okay.
It's gone.
0?
I mean,
Asia, what do you think?
I think it's like 70%.
Okay.
I don't think Patterson in his first year wants to make a huge change, but I think if he has a really poor year next year, there is a problem that he could maybe see the exit door.
The door, all right.
Yeah.
I say 50%. They're looking for a reason to get rid of him. He's won Coach of the Year. It'd be hard, but he comes out, he struggles, he's gone after next season.
Alrighty, well, point for everyone to start it out. Just as we did with the first panel, we'll have you guys breaking down the Sweet 16, the potential Elite 8 matchups from two of the 4 regions. First panel had the South and the East, so you all will have the West and the Midwest. The West has been pretty uneventful so far. We'll see 1 seed Arizona take on 4 seed San Diego State, and then 2 seed Wisconsin match up with the 6 seed Baylor. Then in the West, it gets interesting with the 8 seed, or the Midwest, sorry, with 8 seed Kentucky Wildcats taking on the 4 seed Louisville Cardinals in a battle for supremacy in the Bluegrass State, followed by 11 seed Tennessee taking on 2 seed Michigan. The games we're going to focus on here, though, it's going to be Kentucky versus Louisville. Clearly, these teams were, in fact, misseeded, but who will come out of this game as the Kings of Kentucky? And then in the West, is anybody taking down Arizona?
I mean, on my bracket, I have Arizona playing UCLA, and so I love this Arizona team, but I mean, you can pretty much put a disclaimer. I think the top 3 most overpaid professions in the world are politician, stockbroker, and college basketball bracketologist.
Okay, so Joe Lunardi is.
Hey man,
Quite
everybody's got to
overpaid
make
here,
a
Brandon.
living. Everybody's got to make a living. I'm not going to knock him for
Yeah,
getting
I
his
mean
money.
that's a pretty good living if you're that guy. So
Yeah,
if you're Joe.
But yeah, I mean, it's Arizona for me.
Okay, all right.
I'm actually going to go ahead and take San Diego State over Arizona.
Okay.
I go to Cal, and Cal took down Arizona, and I think they're a little bit vulnerable. Aaron Gordon is pretty much the center of all of their points, and I think San Diego State has an it factor. I mean, they started the chant, "I believe that we will win," so that's pretty convincing.
Alrighty, Zach.
San Diego State already actually played Arizona earlier this year. Their best player, Xavier Thames, he had kind of an off night shooting, and they still played him close. And even then, Arizona had their best player in Brandon Ashley, who's out with an injury now. With that said, Arizona still rolling like harder than any other team right now. They have momentum. They've been the best team all year, so Arizona's going to roll through.
Final four for sure, or championship? Or
Final Four, they're going to lose to Louisville probably.
Okay, yeah, that's what I have too. So wait, so that obviously that means you have Louisville over Kentucky. Then.
I do.
I mean, even considering how Kentucky's playing, you still have that?
Kentucky is a team built on freshmen, and they've been inconsistent all season. I look at coaching, I look at point guard play, I look at experience, and I look at go-to score. And Louisville checks the box on all four of those things over Kentucky.
Alrighty, who's winning in Bluegrass State?
I mean, Kentucky's always had the talent to be a contender. My thing is they're so up and down, and I'm all about chaos rules all when it comes to the month of March. So Kentucky.
Alrighty, you're going with the straight momentum.
Yeah.
Alrighty, even though they're all freshmen.
They stepped up against Wichita State, and so I mean, if they're going to make a run at any time before they go to the NBA, may as well go now.
True that. Asia, what do you got?
And I also have Kentucky, so I'm going to take both the underdogs. And the reason why is because Kentucky beat Florida in the SEC championship, and I think Florida's a better team than Louisville, and I think Calipari is going to outsmart Pitino in this matchup. And I think Julius Randle is a beast on the bottom, so I think he's going to take Kentucky to beat Louisville.
Alrighty, well, I'm gonna give Zach. Oh yeah, Florida did actually beat Kentucky in that.
Oh.
Yeah, Kentucky got real close. That's why everybody kind of thought that
Good game.
they finished strong. You know, they only lost by a couple points there, but I think I'm gonna give Zach the point for Louisville on this one. I think the experience is gonna finally trump them.
Chaos
Or
is the
trump
only
Kentucky
religion,
here,
man. Chaos is the only religion.
That is true, and you can't really pull the coaching argument here because I feel like the coaches are pretty even.
Yeah.
But guys, moving on to the NBA now. Same storyline we see every year at the end of the season. The brutally consistent San Antonio Spurs just keep winning, while everyone else keeps calling them too old, too slow, and writing them off. Spurs are consistently the best team that no one ever talks about, and this season is no exception. They're quietly on a 14-game winning streak and hold a 2-game conference lead after sitting in second place just a month ago. So are we destined for the same old story in the West, or where the Spurs somehow sneak into the NBA Finals while nobody's talking about them, or will we see a different team come out of the West? Asia.
I think the Spurs are a great team. I think Pop is a great coach, and that chemistry has been in play. I mean, we've seen the stat and the meme all week about how last time they didn't make the playoffs was 17 years ago. I do think, however, that Oklahoma City is going to end up beating them and make it to the NBA championships just because Westbrook is healthy this year. I think that's very important. And I think Kevin Durant has just been consistent all year, and as good as Tony Parker and Tim Duncan and Manu can just hammer it out all the time. As Spurs have had a good season, they have a better bench. You know, you're playing more your position. I think that Oklahoma City is going to end up beating them in the Western Conference Finals, make it to the championship. But I think Spurs have been an unsung hero this year.
So you think it's just because OKC's better, or is it just because the Spurs are actually too old now?
I think OKC is just a better team, and I do think a problem is that you need longevity when you're getting into the playoffs, and so the younger you are, the easier it makes it.
Definitely. All right, Asia's going with the youth. Zach?
It's just they're the flavor of the month. 2 months ago, everyone was saying there's no way anyone can beat OKC. Last month, there was no one can beat LA. Right now, it's Spurs. Overall, I still think, the Spurs made it last year. Before that, they flamed out just the last few years before that. The Spurs aren't going to make it. It's going to be the LA Clippers. The
Clippers.
The Clippers, they have this over the last few months of the season, consistently, Blake Griffin has been the third best player in the NBA. He can attack, he can score, he can dish the ball now. Blake Griffin can do everything. Chris Paul, still the best point guard in the NBA. You add in Doc Rivers, an improved DeAndre Jordan, and then they finally have weapons that can complement their star players. And Redick, they have Barnes, they have Collison. This is a team that's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I'll agree with you that Blake Griffin's definitely gotten a lot better with the fundamentals and the half court basketball. He came into the league just dunk. I mean, he's still doing all that.
Yeah.
Came into the league just pure athleticism, really raw. But now, I think it will be different in the playoffs.
The Clippers just have so many ways to beat you. There's so many ways to beat you.
Yeah, but they don't have the wisdom. They don't have the wisdom.
They got
you know?
Doc.
They don't have the
They got Doc
experience.
and Chris.
All right, they do have Doc, yeah. But Chris Paul's not very experienced in the playoffs. So.
Chris Paul is better.
Karthik, where you going with the hometown team?
I am a diehard Spurs fan. I'm absolutely loving it. But that being said, I fear OKC. They are the only team in the West. If I'm the Spurs, I fear.
Okay.
We have owned the Clippers. I'm not worried about the Clippers. I would love to watch Tim Duncan just go to town on DeAndre Jordan. He's only picking the Clippers because he's a Reddick homer.
Reddick.
Okay, but I mean, OKC is the only one. It's not. Yes, there's talent, but it's also the matchups. I mean, Russell Westbrook's. We have trouble with faster, stronger point guards. Durant's going to get 30. I'm not worried about Durant getting 30. It's all about whether Kawhi and the team's defense can scheme to make it an inefficient 30. He's getting 30 a game easy, but I guess it's determining how easy it is. And then Kawhi and Danny Green coming back is crucial because it's crucial that they both come back together. And so a lot of things that people don't realize is Kawhi is one of the best offensive rebounders, especially for his position. And he can only do that because Danny Green gets back on defense. He's the first guy back on D. I absolutely love this Spurs team. This might be the first year we go to the finals in an odd year. I mean, even year.
Okay, so you are taking the hometown. I mean, you just kind of bashed them a little bit. You're taking them.
I honestly,
He's calling me a homer.
end of the day, I think OKC might beat us. OKC's going to beat us. I'll say it.
Really?
OKC's going to beat us.
Okay, all right. I mean, I was
It's
going to give you the
Ibaka.
point for the Spurs, but now it's you and Asia with the OKC pick. But
You're not picking the Clippers, man.
no. I mean, I honestly, it's not just because I'm a Laker fan and I'm bitter that the Clippers are actually better now. But I do think it is going to come down to OKC, San Antonio in the Western Conference Finals, and I think San
When the
Antonio is
Clippers win,
sneaking in again. But
I
we'll see.
love San Antonio, but it's Ibaka's going to flip the series.
Alrighty, well, Karthik, you and Asia are going to get the point here. Next up, we'll have our second rapid-fire round to see who will earn the right to move on and face Brooks Kabina in the final round. Stay tuned, it's College Crossfire.
The hell's the rest of it?
Thanks for sticking with us tonight on College Crossfire. All tied up at 2. We're going to start this round off the same way we started off the first rapid fire round with a March Madness caption this. Guys, check out this picture of Aaron Kraft immediately following his missed shot at the buzzer against Dayton in the round of 64. Best caption gets 2 points.
Mom, I don't want to go to bed.
Okay, I like that's pretty solid. Karthik, Asia, you guys got anything?
I forgot to do my physics homework.
Is that you after you forget to do your physics homework?
That is me after
Chilling.
it is me after I forget to do my physics homework.
Alrighty, Karthik?
9-to-5 jobs are going to suck.
Yeah, I like that. Like those were because that is definitely what Aaron Kraft is about to get into. Because I don't think that man has more than maybe a 2-year Adam Morrison career in the NBA coming from. So Karthik, you're gonna get those 2 points. And guys, the NFL announced 5 new rule changes that passed this week at the owners' meetings in Orlando. The one notable rule change that has been the talk of the sports world is the rule that bans dunking over the goalpost after a touchdown is scored. The rule is based on the incident during a Saints game last season where tight end Jimmy Graham actually broke part of the goalpost and caused a 20-minute delay in the game. But guys, the question here is, are all these new rules actually starting to turn the NFL into what people have been calling the, quote, no fun league? Anybody jump in?
I think a lot of this is like what Mark Cuban said. He said that the NFL, they want to protect themselves from having a dangerous image. And so they're worried about with all the antics and everything. I mean, look at Aaron Hernandez. He just went out and he's in jail now. They've had all sorts of drinking and driving. There's a guy on the Cowboys who got arrested like last year for it. They're trying to cut down all the antics, make themselves look cleaned up. Whether or not this is the way to do it, I don't think it is. But I think that's definitely what the NFL's going
Definitely.
for.
I mean, that's probably the motive there. But why take away that? I mean, why not just increase fines or something?
I don't know.
Yeah.
They probably think it looks childish. Go out there
Definitely.
and
I just think
dunk
it's
on
an interesting
the
way of dealing with it.
goalpost. I think it's stupid.
They said it was grandfathered in now that Tony Gonzalez is gone since he started it. But Karthik.
I mean, y'all are taking a stand on the wrong thing. We should have taken this stand about 5 years ago when they were finding my boy Chad Johnson. We miss you, Chad. And I mean, the goalpost thing's not even that cool. And if it adjusts the field goal post, like Jimmy Graham's done, that affects competition, like even slightly. I can understand that.
Well, and it's just annoying when there's already so many things that slow down an NFL game.
Yeah, but I mean,
replay and all that.
It's just
TV
like
timeout.
Yeah,
we should have made a stand against them cutting out celebrations. The University of Miami revolutionized football, and why did we have to like go against?
Dunking on goalposts just shows I can play in the NBA too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there aren't actually a lot of guys. I don't think that can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, like nobody, Breeze isn't doing that after a quarterback sneak. So.
Definitely not.
Asia.
Americans are easily entertained. I don't know if their football is really going to suffer from taking this out, but it takes the fun out of the game, and it takes kind of what you grow up when you grow up playing football. Like you have your celebration, you kind of try and show off. Chad Johnson was a huge influence. T.O., as much as he could have been annoying, I liked him when he was on my boys. But outside of that, I mean, it's fun, it's interesting, it adds to the sport, and I think we have way more problems in the NFL than celebrations. And celebrations in the end zone aren't nearly as bad as celebrations when you get a first down. Like, congratulations, go back to the huddle, keep playing. When you score a touchdown, I understand getting a celebration.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so it seems like everybody's against it. Everybody thinks it's kind of turned into this no fun league a little bit with all these rules?
Yeah.
No
Yeah, I'm cool with them banning the dunk thing. Just give me back my cell phone and the padding, the dancing.
Yeah, I mean those were all really cool
iconic.
celebrations. I agree. I kind of miss all that stuff. T.O. and Chad Johnson took it a little too far sometimes with the disrespect, but the cell phone, that doesn't disrespect anyone. I think it's cool.
I
I like
love
the
the
shows of
please don't
athleticism.
find me.
I like to see the, when they do the backflips or whatever. I think that's cool.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
always good
all
to
right.
see.
Well, I'm gonna give everyone a point here. Seems like we're all against it, all four of us here. This one's gonna be worth 3, guys. It's gonna decide who moves on. And we usually don't like to recycle questions here on Crossfire, but last week when we asked about what concession the panelists would add to UT sporting events, to be sold at UT sporting events, we were a little bit underwhelmed by the answers. After the D-backs came out with their 18-inch bacon and cheese-filled corn dog, the Rangers just matched it when they introduced their new bacon on a stick concession, whatever that is, a giant slab of bacon. But we're going to ask the same question again here. What creative concession would you guys add to be sold at UT sporting events?
Maybe like a Bevo beer and brat combo going on where you get a real like authentic hearty brat and beer for it. Get it cheap, man. Like, come on, they get enough money. Like, the charge is $7 for both.
Oh, $7 for both? I would go for that.
I went to a Ranger game opening day 2 years ago when they unveiled the boomstick, and I got a boomstick, and it was a hot dog about this big, about this wide, and it was delicious and huge.
How much was it?
It was probably like $20.
How much
something
did
like
you
that.
eat? How much
I ate
did
half
you
of it. I
eat?
split it with a friend. I
Okay.
split it with a friend.
Okay.
I'm saying you take a little different spin on it, and you create a burger, a huge burger in the shape of a football, and you sell it as like the Horns burger or something. I don't know.
All right,
I don't know the name, but like a huge burger in the shape of a football.
Pretty solid.
Oh, shoot. You know what? I thought of this last week. I forgot about it. Ricky William brownies. I'm not explaining what's in it.
Oh my God. We're not going to get into that one in detail.
No.
Asia, you got anything?
I'm a sucker for dino nuggets, so I would introduce Bevo nuggets, and I think
Okay.
those would be awesome. It'd be fun for everyone, and
Family friendly.
I definitely would go buy some Bevo nuggets.
So, some Bevo nuggets. So we had the Ricky Williams brownies, and then what was your first one? It was the beer brat combo.
It was the Bevo beer and
Bevo.
brat combo.
Alrighty. Karthik, I think I'm gonna give it to you on this one. Asia, that was a solid one. Dude, I like yours too, but I think Karthik came with it too. Definitely the most creative one with the Ricky Williams brownies. No explanation needed there. But guys, after the break, we'll bring back Brooks Kabina to take on Karthik Raja in the final round. Stay with us. It's College Crossfire. Welcome back to College Crossfire, folks. We've narrowed down tonight's panel to 2 panelists. We have the showdown, the battle between Brooks Kabina and Karthik Raja. Best of luck to you both, gentlemen. May the best man win. Awkward handshake there.
good.
Guys, we're going to start off this round with some baseball talk here. Tuesday's 5-1 win over Texas State was more than just another routine midweek non-conference matchup. It was the win that gave Texas baseball head coach Augie Garrido his 1,894th win, as we said earlier, to make him the all-time winningest college baseball coach. The win was also the Longhorns' 20th of the season as they get ready to travel to Lubbock for a 3-game series with Texas Tech this weekend. The Longhorns still have not won a Big 12 series since the 2012 regular season. They dropped 2 of 3 to Kansas in their first conference series 2 weekends ago. But other than that, the team has looked impressive so far this season. Guys, what do they need to do against Tech to finally get over that hump, get the series win?
You know, I think the simple thing to say is they need runs. I mean, they've got the pitching to go along with it. I mean, Parker French is stepping up. Dylan Peters having a good year. I mean, they've had the pitching the past couple of seasons. They've added some great people in the bullpen as well. They just need to get some runs in there. I mean, and whenever it comes down to these last few games, it's been decided by just a few runs, and that's what you need out of your players. Texas struggled with that the last couple of years. It's not new news. They need bats, and they need them now. And one of the guys that's really not doing as well as a lot of people had thought was Casey Clemens. Casey Clemens has not stepped up yet this season, given he's a freshman just coming in out of Houston, but he really needs to start coming into his own, and they need that help, and they need it quick, or they're just going to continue their streak of losing in the Big 12 series.
So just going to John Madden here and score more points than the other team?
Got to do it.
All righty. Garthik?
I mean, Tech's got only like 2-3 guys you really have to look out for in the lineup, and you can just you can pitch around them. Tech's big on pitching by committee. There's no like big ace on their staff, so I mean, it's really maintaining the same kind of quality hits throughout the whole thing.
Hello.
And there you go. Hey, I hear you, man. And so, honestly, you got to get hits. You got to just make sure you use every at bat properly. You can't just keep blowing them.
Okay, I'm gonna give Brooks a point here. He came,
All right, cool.
came with that first.
Yeah.
Hey, he had the caller in though. There,
Yeah,
so we got,
Definitely, he did. He'd have the ring from the heavens.
Are we getting the? I mean, that could have been the sign. You know, like your answer was right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
here it is.
It's all right. No. It's all right. You got me.
I'm gonna go against the heavens. I'm gonna give it to you, Brooks.
Okay.
Chaos
So
is
you can
the
start
only
out
Don't do that too often.
with the point. No, I know. Hey, just playing around. Everybody calm down. Hey guys, the new era of Texas football began Tuesday of last week when Charlie Strong and the guys began spring practice. One of the main topics of conversation was, of course, the situation at the quarterback position. No indication at all was given as to who will start at QB, but David Ash has been a full participant since practice began after missing most of last season due to concussion issues. Ash is the most experienced quarterback on the roster, but some want to see sophomore Tyrone Swoops or even true freshman Gerard Hurd get the job. It's also still a possibility that the Horns will land USC transfer Max Wittick. Obviously, haven't seen much, still a lot up in the air, but in your mind, how does the ideal quarterback situation play out for the Horns next season? Who do you guys want to see start? Karthik?
I'm really hoping that Coach Strong comes in with the understanding that the quarterback that wins camp shouldn't necessarily be the starter. And
okay,
so,
why is that?
Because I think David Ash will win camp, but I think he has to come in with the understanding that you have to commit to some of these younger guys, more specifically Hurd and Swoops, and it's understanding that Ash is going to be out soon, and you have to account for a learning curve. Me personally, I would love either one. Swoops, hey,
sign again.
Me too, bud. Me too. And so, I mean, I would love Swoops or Hurd, especially. It would be cool to have Hurd going, just because I know he's a fan of Drake's label OVO, and I know Johnny Manziel just left, and so Drake could show some love to Texas. He's already in the state, you know.
So you think Gerard Hurd?
I would love either one, but I would love. Yeah, I'll commit to Gerard Hurd.
So what if Wittick comes? We starting him?
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like the quarterback that wins camp shouldn't be the starter, because those guys are older, and like Coach Strong is starting something here. Man, I'm feeling loved.
Yeah.
I am feeling loved. And Coach Strong has got to understand. It's like there's a learning curve to these guys. Let's figure out what they can do.
Definitely. So basically, Ash is out. Is what you're saying?
Ash, and if we get Wittick, out.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Brooks?
bringing in Wittick, whenever I think about transfer quarterbacks, if you're going to end up being starting, you have to be absolutely better than the guys there, and I don't think Wittick is.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's
he
going to
didn't perform well at USC.
But the other thing is, I don't think Tyrone Swoops is even a guy that can beat out David Ash. I mean, I watched him throw last season, and he cannot pass significantly well. I mean, a lot of his passes too high, too low. He's not good on his mechanics. He's a runner first. That's something that's not going to change in 1 year. And David Ash, people forget that he was having a pretty good year last year. 7 touchdowns, 2 picks, 760 yards, 120 yards rushing. I mean, the guy was playing well. It wasn't until Major Applewhite got him killed running up the middle that he got these concussions. Got out of the first place. I think Ash is a guy that can play well. And Hurd, he's not even going to be in camp, so he's not even playing there. But I think Ash is the guy to be, and I want to see him play because I think he can do well.
All right, I'm gonna give it to Karthik on this one. I can see both sides. Hard to disagree with that many rings from the heavens, though. So, guys, we're gonna need some one-word answers real quick right here. I'm gonna give you a chance to revise your brackets, though. I know you had Wichita State, Brooks, but now that we've narrowed down the field from 64 to 16, who do you guys got winning it all?
UCLA.
Okay, you had them all along, right?
Yeah, you saw my bracket.
Yeah.
I called UNC on the show, but bracket-wise, I went UCLA.
Okay, that's a power pick right there. Who are you going with?
Baylor Bears.
Baylor Bears.
Baylor
okay.
Bears.
Ah, sick 'em.
Those are two
Do
shocking
I get a
picks
chance
right
to
there.
explain that, or I just got one?
I think we're just going one-word answers.
Okay,
We'll come
well,
back with
I got
rapid fire. I'm going to give points to both you guys because those are pretty two extreme picks right there, but I like the power moves. You guys know I'm into that on the show.
Whenever they're hot, they're hot.
Everybody.
Absolutely. Next up, guys, on the show, we'll crown a winner for the night during our last rapid fire round. Don't go anywhere. It's College Crossfire. Appreciate you all sticking with us tonight on the show. Before we begin our final round, 2-2 tie here, but let's get right into it, guys. The talk surrounding yesterday's Knicks-Lakers game in Los Angeles was all about whether or not Phil Jackson would be in attendance. Phil was indeed at the game, but when they actually found him, his guest, Meta World Peace, former Laker and Knick, stole the show for a moment when he professed his love for the San Antonio Spurs. Meta said that when he has 10 children, or if he has 10 children, I don't know why I do that, but he would name them all after this year's Spurs roster. This brings up the question of all sports franchises in history, which team from which year or era would you guys name your kids after?
Man, I'd pick them after the 2005 Texas Longhorns because you get a lot of interesting names. You get Vincent. Vincent's a good name.
Okay.
And you get Cedric. No, Cedric went on there. Jamal. You get Jamal Charles in there.
With 2 A's, Jamal with 2 A's.
That's right. That's right. And, you get a lot of interesting names I like to pull from a 2005 team dear to my heart.
Okay, I like that.
I was going to pull an old one from an old basketball team just because I like names that come from nicknames from Richard, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on air.
Dude, you are, man. You're getting edgy today.
No, but I would go for 2007 Spurs. 2007 Spurs. It's just so close to my heart.
Okay.
Also, I just found out that Meta World Peace is my spirit animal.
Is that an animal?
Dude, did you see him in the Malice in the Palace? That was not a human being.
Okay.
Hard to argue with the spirit animal. So
Okay,
I'm going to give Karthik the 2 points here.
Well played.
Guys, this year's NCAA tournament marks the 35th anniversary of the Magic Bird rivalry. One of the greatest rivalries in all of sports began in the 1979 NCAA title game when Magic's Michigan State Spartans knocked off Bird's Indiana State Sycamores to win the NCAA title. Their rivalry obviously continued into their days in the NBA as members of the Lakers and the Celtics. So, guys, best sports rivalry of all time.
I'm a big
It can be like player on player, like Magic Bird, or it can be teams.
Red Sox Yankees.
Okay, I mean, yeah, so our cameraman's showing love to Red Sox Yankees, but I am a big basketball fan, and so I'm going Magic Bird. Like, it's not just what their rivalry between themselves is, they literally blew the NBA up. The NBA is not the NBA Michael Jordan is not Michael Jordan without Magic and Bird.
Okay, so you're going with that one?
Yeah, they went international. They went Dream Team and everything.
All right.
Now I'm going to have to go into a different sport we haven't talked about today. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier. One of the best rivalries in this game, not just because they both beat up on each other. One would win, then the other one come back and get the big, the heavyweight championship. That meant a lot in its day, and it was the biggest thing at that time, along with the rest of the sports. And yeah, it was just exciting to see. And they made it wonderful. One of the things about Muhammad Ali is he was a great specialist in making things exciting. That really amplified that, and I think that's the best rivalry in sports.
Alrighty, I'm gonna have to go with that one. That was a good one right there.
That's understandable.
Last week, guys, we tested your knowledge of some of the mid-major schools competing in the NCAA tourney. But this week, to end the show, we're gonna test your knowledge of the new UT football coaching staff. Same rules as last week. First person to grab my attention, just to give a little hand raise or something like that, will get one chance at it, guys. Real quick, offensive line coach.
Joe Wickline.
Alrighty.
Oh, we're just going names?
Yeah,
I thought we were going City State. All right.
No.
Say, Jeff, you're killing me.
All right. Next, we got defensive coordinator.
Vance Bedford.
Alrighty, you got it.
Oh.
And then we got the QB coach.
Sean Watson.
Alrighty, Karthik. And receivers coach.
Joseph Josephson.
Nope.
No? Okay.
Absolutely not.
Joe Wickline?
No.
Shoot.
Offensive line,
Yeah.
but
Offensive line.
Yeah, that's
I mean, you already won it since he went with Joe Josephson,
okay,
but it's actually Les Koenig. Koenig?
Koenig.
Koenig. I think I'm saying that name correctly.
Do I get partial credit?
I'll give you a half. I'll give you a half, but
All right, cool.
Karthik still wins. It's 2 to 1.5.
No.
Karthik, real quick, FaceTime, my man, before we go.
Come on.
Oh, yeah, this is my first face.
Just real quick, 15 seconds. Go.
UT Flow is doing a amazing charity organization next Sunday, not this Sunday, at Austin's Pizza 3 to 6. It's called Caring for Camo. Please show up and help out the troops.
Got it. Cool. Awesome, man. Got your plug in there. Caring for Camo, guys. Check it out. Austin's Pizza. It's all the time we have for tonight's show, guys. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. We'll be back next week, Wednesday night, for a regularly programmed 30-minute episode. Thank you for tuning in. It's College Crossfire.